Hey yo, welcome to World Cup Daily with ya boy, Adrian from Rabona TV. I had a great Canada Day, by the way, thanks to those who wished me well, but it pales in comparison to covering the World Cup for you guys. I just wanted to say another thank you to everyone who has been joining me every damn day to listen to my ugly mug talk football. That's all I want to do. That's what I love doing. So it's nice that there's people out there who actually care to listen. So thanks for that. Enough gushy stuff now. Moving on. But hey, if you like daily content and want to join our growing community, we just passed 14K the other day, baby. Then consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy the content. No pressure though, you do you. Let's talk Brazil versus Mexico. Now for this one, Rafa Marquez, the 106-year-old Mexican, started in the midfield. In fact, at 39 years, that's his actual age, and 139 days old, he's the oldest outfield player to start a World Cup match since Stanley Matthews in 1954. Other tactical changes for Mexico included Javier Hernandez and Salcedo bleached their hair. Would it be a sufficient disguise? Not really, as a few misplaced passes or decisions to shoot when teammates were in a better position later, and the Brazilians could quickly figure out who the mysterious blonde striker was. Edson Alvarez banged Neymar ASAP in this one, but Neymar's reaction wasn't to roll around for miles, but to get back up on his feet ASAP. I like that start from Neymar. In fact, Neymar had the first chance of the match, with his strike stinging the palms of Memo Ochoa, who was huge in this game. Brazil had a tough time getting into this match early doors, with Fagner in particular struggling up against Hernandez and Vela, while Lozano seemed like he was only a touch or two away from exposing Felipe Luis on every opportunity he had. In fact, the flanks are where Mexico were concentrating their attacks, trying to expose Fagner and Felipe Luis. And early on, it seemed to be working. But for Brazil, their first big opportunity came in the 32nd minute when Gabriel Jesus, who has had a tough tournament so far, wiggled his way through the Mexicans and smashed one on frame that Ochoa was able to stop. From there, Brazil began to really impose themselves on the match more, as it became harder and harder for Mexico to respond. Then, Edson Alvarez clattered Neymar once again, making it extremely obvious what his game plan was against Neymar, and he got the first yellow of the match. First yellow in the 38th minute, and you're going to have to go toe-to-toe with Neymar all match? Yikes. Perhaps showing his age a bit there, as he's only 20. Turned out he was fine in the end though. But then the same goes for Felipe Luis, who went in hard on Carlos Vela. Could we see a red card in this match? Because I feel like this tournament has been so bereft of reds. Come on guys. Let's see some red cards. Let's see some anxiety. In the second half, it took Brazil 5 minutes to find their goal. What must have been frustrating for Mexico is the fact that Gallardo had a chance in the other direction moments earlier, but he decided to shoot instead of laying it wide to Lozano, who had acres of space. The Mexicans were actually guilty of this on a few occasions, being very greedy when they had guys open on the flanks. But back to the Brazil goal, as Willian took one touch to burn his man, then squared it across the face of goal, where an outstretched Gabriel Jesus once again couldn't get a goal, but Neymar was there at the back post to tuck it away. That was Neymar's 57th goal for Brazil in just 89 caps, and his first knockout stage goal in a World Cup tournament. Yes, he's now scored more knockout stage goals than both Messi and Ronaldo combined, with Neymar's one knockout stage goal. The top performer at this point in the match for me, however, was Willian, as he was on one in the second half, blazing by Mexican defenders with ease and bags of pace to boot. In the 70th, Miguel Layún showed his class by stepping on Neymar's ankle while he was down. Classic Porto player, am I right? More targeting, and it went unpunished. For me, Layún intentionally stomped on him. That's obvious, and I think it should have been a red. You step on your opponent with the intent to hurt them, it should be at least a yellow. I'll settle with that. Minimum yellow. Then, in the 88th minute, Mexico lost their concentration, leaving Neymar wide open on the left, and his poked shot pass, a chasse, flicked off of Ochoa, but Firmino was streaking in at the far post. 2-0 Brazil, and that was about that for the Mexicans. The curse of El Quinto Partido continues for them as they fail to make the quarterfinals once again. The 7th straight tournament in which they have been knocked out in the quarterfinals. Thanks for the memories though, Mexico. That Germany game is what really kicked off this wild World Cup of massive upsets. And for Brazil, what I like so much about them is the fact that they don't really concede. A country that's known for their attacking flair is now playing some shutdown defense. In fact, under Tite, they have 20 wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss from 25 matches, scoring 54 in that time and only conceding 6, with 19 clean sheets. They've conceded just 1 goal in this tournament so far. Also, just a side note, what does Firmino have to do to get the start? I mean, Gabriel Jesus has done nothing in this tournament, in my opinion, and every time Firmino comes on, he changes the game. And in this game, he got a goal late on, a poacher's goal. So anyways, they're a seriously tough team to beat. And who would they be facing in the quarterfinals? I'll let you know as soon as I finish watching that one and collect some nice little stats for you. BRB. Okay, so this match actually started with Japan seeing much more of the ball than Belgium. The Red Devils, by the way, decided to field Vincent Kompany over Boyata for his first start of the tournament. For Japan, they went back to their main starters, with the likes of Osako and Kagawa making their way back into the lineup after being rested against Poland. The longer the half dragged on, the more Belgium came into the match and started piling the pressure on Japan as a result of their more direct approach, winning corner after corner. They had 5 in the first half alone. In the 25th minute, Lukaku had a golden opportunity to put Belgium ahead, but a slight touch on his back was just enough to put him off, and the chance went begging. In the 27th minute, another solid opportunity was had when Kawashima was nowhere to be seen following another fine squared ball, from Kompany this time, but it went through the Japanese 6 with its woes. Untouched. Later, Japan had a chance when Kagawa and Nagatomo combined with a chipped ball to the back post being headed on frame, but Courtois and his big frame easily got behind it. For the last season or so, Courtois hasn't been that guy for me, but he's looked pretty decent in this World Cup, I gotta say. Maybe trying to expedite that move to Real Madrid. And as I was thinking that, he almost let in a howler. How did we get to that point? Well, I noticed that almost every single successful Japanese attack, aka a somewhat dangerous attack, was often a long diagonal switch to the wide Japanese player, whether that be their winger or their fullback. But often, their wide men would tuck inside to draw in one of the 3 center backs, leaving a ton of room for the overlap. The Belgian wing backs of Carrasco and Meunier weren't doing the best job of tracking back, and you gotta think that if Belgium were to move on eventually, that Brazil would have a field day against them if they were this lethargic in defense. They would get absolutely smoked. But alas, the half ended 0-0 with Japan surprising the Belgians a bit with their performance. And if they weren't shocked there, then they certainly were just 3 minutes into the second half when the Belgian center backs were exposed once again, when a through ball slipped past Vertonghen. Don't know what he was doing, reaching for that. He should have just sprinted back for it to shepherd it along, and Genki Haraguchi hit a perfect strike into the bottom corner that T-Bone Courteous had no chance of saving. Japan ahead, and this crazy World Cup just got crazier. Also, shout out to Japan and Haraguchi for scoring their first ever knockout round goal in a World Cup. Belgium came the other way and almost replied immediately, with Hazard smashing one off at the post. But you know what? Japan were not finished with Belgium, and as I said, this absolutely insane World Cup just keeps on getting better and better, as Japan, while winning every single midfield battle, ended up scoring a second with an absolute perler of a strike from Inui, the living palindrome. 2 goals in 4 minutes for Japan, as Belgium looked more and more like pretenders than contenders. I like that. Anyways, that was Japan's 6th goal of the tournament, which is the most that they have ever scored in a World Cup tournament. Again, congrats all around to the Japanese team of the 2018 World Cup. And speaking of pretenders, Lukaku sorta looked like one in the 61st minute when his point-blank header skittered across the goal and went wide. No danger in the end. Well, I mean some danger considering it was a point-blank header for one of the Premier League's top scorers over the last few seasons, but all bark and no bite in the end. And Lukaku was thwarted once again when in the 68th minute, Mayo Yoshida, who was having an incredible match, made an amazing tackle to block Lukaku. However, from a somewhat freakish set of circumstances, Vertonghen made up for his earlier mistake as a somewhat innocuous-seeming looping header floated over Kawashima and nestled into the far corner of the net. 2-1 Japan, 20 minutes remaining, game on. In fact, when that goal went in, you could feel the atmosphere in the stadium and you could sense the fear creeping into the Japanese team as they started to get a little more disorganized defensively. And it only took 3 minutes from scoring their first that Fellaini, yes, that's right, Fellaini, perhaps the most polarizing player of all time, utilized his #1 asset behind his chest control, of course, to head past Kawashima. 2-2. So, how would Japan respond to this? In the 80th minute, a legend entered the pitch for Japan as Haraguchi made way for Keisuke Honda. And Honda's first meaningful opportunity was smashing one on goal from distance that Thibaut Courtois had a hard time dealing with. In the 85th minute, Kawashima more than made up for his earlier misjudgment for the first Belgian goal when he pulled off an incredible double save, first defying Nasser Chadli's header, and then Romelu Lukaku's free header from the center. Insane match, man. I hope you didn't miss this one. Probably the most entertaining match of the tournament so far for me. In the 90th minute, a well-worked Japanese attack led to Axel Witsel in trying to block the cross, deflecting it on his own goal, and Thibaut Courtois had to make a quick reaction save to bail out the Belgian midfielder. That would have been bad if that went in. In the 93rd minute, however, Belgium hit Japan with an absolutely devastating counterattack. Started by Kevin De Bruyne's driving run forward, then he played a perfect diagonal ball to Meunier on the flank, and the PSG man hit a low cross into the box that was beautifully and brilliantly dummied by Lukaku, and Chadli just had to slot it in to make it 3-2 Belgium right at the death, with the substitutes completing the comeback. So, Belgium became the first team to come back from 2 goals down since Germany did it against England in 1970. And I gotta be honest, my heart really breaks for Japan as they left everything out on the pitch, but a couple of defensive lapses and a great turnaround in quality from Belgium just wasn't enough for the Japanese. However, I will say that if Belgium defend as naively as they did against Japan at times, then Brazil's wide men of Neymar and Willian will have an absolute field day. But I fully expect Belgium to change their shape for that match and maybe revert to a 4 at the back to provide more cover on the flanks. We shall see come this Friday. I'm stoked for that one, man. Watch along? I think so. Alright guys, now this was a great World Cup day as the drama just continues in this tournament. Yesterday, 2 shootouts. Today, the Brazil-Mexico match went a little to script, but Japan versus Belgium more than made up for it as far as drama goes. To quote Patrice Evra, "Ha ha ha, I love this game." Alright, once again, I'm Adrian. If you learned something from this video and appreciated it, then leave a like to let me know. Better yet, comment, and we can chat it up in the section. And hey, tomorrow, why don't we do a watch along for England versus Colombia? That should be a good one. Well, hopefully. Anyways, I hope to see you during the watch along, but if not, have yourself a lovely night. Later.